Hi, I'm Brandon. I love The Way Home.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I like The Way Home, Dan.
I'm Dan, and I watched The Way Home, and this is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Well, hello, everybody.
Boy.
We're here.
A seamless intro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
Crushed that.
I know we got a lot to get to. Way Home, season 2, episode 3, but I would like to go to a close-up of Ryan as he addresses Dan on something that has been on his mind for quite some time. Ryan, take it away.
Dan, I'm disappointed in you, man. I listened to the Brink episode of Decom Descendants. and I just feel like you missed the mark on a lot.
Oh, no.
And Dan, you know this. I respect your opinions thoroughly, and I think you respect mine. But, like, first of all, I was like, okay, if Dan might not like this movie, and Aaron and I will have to live with it. But I'm like, he's going to appreciate, and it's going to tilt him in favor of, because the skating is shot really well, and he's going to love the scene with the dad and Brink in the garage. And you reference those things and somehow still think that the movie is a steaming pile of garbage. Dan, not everything's Oppenheimer, okay?
Yeah!
Not everything is Oppenheimer. That's all I got to say.
Oh, my goodness. So I was wondering what scene you were talking about.
It's an actor. It's an actor. It's an acting
It's an actor.
It
is an actor. There's no way around that. I did love the scene with the dad in the garage, and the skate scenes are by and large shot impeccably. The movie's trash, guys. I don't know. That is a movie of its time. It is not a movie that transcends generations. It stays there where you guys were all 8, 9, 10, and life was great, and you had a little extra bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios, and you were awesome and could skate and soul and blah blah blah. I don't want to spoil anything.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I don't want to spoil.
Go ahead,
I'm
Aaron.
feeling the bowl of Cheerios.
Aaron,
I'm feeling
go ahead.
extra called out, and we're gonna talk about this later.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Sorry, go ahead. I muted you for a second there so that our sweet Aaron could talk.
I was talking first.
Right, but she was talking more importantly.
I don't want to spoil anything. But we review Halloween Town this Friday.
Spoilers.
And you just need to listen. If you think that I'm going to thrash every Disney movie as a relic of its time period for only people that were a certain age, then please listen this Friday, because there is a way to make a movie that is for a 9-year-old in 1998 and also holds up for a 40-year-old in 2024. Brink is not it.
But see, listen, Halloween Town, good flick. But see, you're doing this to really get under Brandon my skin. I like Halloween Town. Oh, what a cinematic classic!
I wanted nothing more than to love that movie. Contrary to popular belief, I don't really love hating the things that Brand loves. I don't. I want nothing more. When he and I both love a movie, it's like the best day. It's a shared thing because we have so much camaraderie in other areas of our life. He just qualitatively doesn't have an eye for cinema.
Well, I'll just say this: hating the stuff that I love is taking you to London. So maybe put some respect on that name.
Put that, yeah. Maybe if Brink dropped a bomb in the third act,
exactly right.
That's
exactly right.
Pretty sure they dropped that bomb in hour 2, but I could be wrong.
I'm sorry that they don't have the A-list actors coming in to say, "Hey, Oppie," I'm sorry.
Let's do half in black and white. We got it. It's gonna be genius.
I also think Barbie is a genius film and one of the best movies of the decade.
Liberal.
Barbie was.
You're killing me. Brink does not hold up. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It's not my problem.
I'll just say this. If you're not, I'm done with you now. I will say,
we're all done with
we're having a good time. We're having a good time. Decom Descendants every Friday. If you're not listening to that pod, you're missing out. Even if you're not a DCOM fan, it's a very fun show, if I must say. And I will say.
Rate, review, subscribe. Even if you're mad at me, do it anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And don't forget to tell us your TV channel. What channel
what was
did you
your
watch?
TV channel? What was your Disney channel growing up?
31.
31 in Connecticut there.
What provider?
The greater Fairfield County area.
What provider?
Was that, Brent? It was Cablevision / Optimum.
Cablevision 31, Fairfield County, Connecticut.
You know what?
I was 24. Brain, you were 35.
Oh, that's the Disney Channel number.
Yeah, Nickelodeon was 25. It was great.
Oh yeah, we had Disney 31, Cartoon Network 32, Nick 33.
Whoa.
We had Nick 34, Disney 35, Cartoon 36. Yeah.
Okay,
My
so
Cartoon
that might have
Network was
just
in
been how
the
they
60s.
did.
Oh, that's weird.
It was not near.
Wow, they really made you read.
I didn't have cable.
Although, listen, honestly, not a bad idea because as a kid, if you're like up late, you could be watching like a Nick at Night, enjoying yourself some like Leave It to Beaver, and then accidentally barge into Adult Swim and be like, "What's happening right now?" That happens.
Yeah.
Up
In
to the thumb.
Massachusetts, they said, not on our watch.
Not on our watch. Not on our watch. That's exactly right. Massachusetts, where we care for children. That's their motto. It's a weird motto, but
It's a weird
that's
motto.
their motto.
Yes.
We care for children.
Similar to Brand's motto, which is high kid count.
Yeah.
Yes. I will just say really quickly, hearing about all of these different cable providers reminds me just how lucky we are to have the Philo. Because Philo, everything's right there. It's so nice. It's so tidy. The DVR is unlimited. The one button ad skip. It
Watch
doesn't
the
get
way home live, or you can watch it on the DVR.
It doesn't get much better. It is a dream come true, especially when it comes to watching a show like The Way Home.
Yeah.
It could not be a
I
more
think
enjoyable
weekly,
process.
You're like, I wish I could watch this all at once and binge it. The only thing better than that is knowing we could watch it live or we could watch it on our DVR with the one button ad skip.
exactly
Either way, it's as close as we're going to get.
That's right. And you can watch us. All the episodes of Deck the Hallmark is available on Philo. Let's talk about The Way Home, shall we?
Oh, sure.
The Way Home Season 2, Episode 3, When You Were Young. Is it the Killers song? Is that...
When we were young, right? That's that tune, right?
We were young from 2000.
I think When You Were Young is the Killer. Is the Killers song.
Too young song.
When you were, not when you wet the bed.
The Killers, When You Were Young.
Nailed it.
The Killers, When You Were Young. Yes.
That came out in 2000?
I don't think
No
so.
way, Jose.
The Killers weren't around.
No
in
way.
2000.
No way.
I think it's 09.
I don't think they limit themselves to the year of, right? I don't think Hanging by a
2006.
Moment came out in 2000.
Dan, you were
It
just...
did. We looked it up. 'Cause
Okay.
I was like, that's 01. It came out in 2000.
You were just telling me about how you went to the year 3000.
Dude, weirdly enough, not much has changed.
Really?
Yeah, we do live underwater.
Sounds like a big change.
Yeah, a little bit of one. Your great granddaughter?
Yeah.
She's doing fine.
Great.
Apparently, she's lived for 300 years. How are there only 3 generations removed from your original granddaughter in 1,000 years? I don't know. Not my problem.
And it went a little something like this. Cat is running through the woods after trying to find that little boy in Massachusetts. We care for children. The boy finally turns around. It is not Jacob. She starts to tear up because it's like...
Sorry, go ahead.
And is like, hey, I'm sad. I thought I was going to find Jacob. I thought I found him. I didn't find him. And that's when a guy shows up. His name's Elijah, and is like, hey, these are the days of Elijah. His name is Elijah.
When I leave, I want to go out like Elijah.
His name is Elijah Landry, and he's like, "Hey, come on over. I've got a farm over yonder." And when they approach the farm, she's like, "This is my house. Wow!" He points. Oh wow!
Oh, wow, look at that. It's my house. Oh, wow. Look at that.
Wow!
It's the Landry farm.
He points out that his that's my son. He's my
But that's all, folks.
he's my son, William. Can you hear me? And
William.
and his son Jacob. So the kid she saw is Jacob, but not her Jacob. It's William's Jacob.
The William Jacob situation.
That's exactly right. Cut to present day, we see Elliot, who gets lost in a memory that he is reliving of his teenage self, Jacob and Colton. It's just right there in front of him. Then at the market, we're at a market. Alice helps Dell, and she is like, "Hey, I don't want to work at the diner coffee shop thing this summer. I want to help you out." And Dell's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "I know that you're low on money, and I know we're about to lose the farm." And everybody at the market's like, and Dell's like, no. Back in 1814, Kat notices Jacob's initials on the table, which he uses to leave his mark, and she remembers him practicing that exact initial engravement when they were kids. So she then catches Elijah whistling the song that was her dad's song, and she's like, "How do you know this song?" And he says, "Well, it's a song that my other son sings all the time." That's exactly right. And he says, "I have another son, came to live with us about 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
Interesting. Weirdly enough, my son William actually named his son after him.
Amen.
His name's Jacob." She says, "Where's that Jacob?" And he says, "Well, he's delivering a ship in Canada."
Upper Canada.
Up where
a lot of things happen up north near the North Pole.
Kat is like, "Well, here's the thing. I actually have been looking for my brother for 20 odd years as well." And he's like, "I knew this day would come." Back in the good time of present day, Dell and Alice have a flat tire when a really hot old guy shows up, gives Dell a tire iron, and then deuces out. He's cool. Elijah and Kat are talking about Jacob when Susanna shows up, and Elijah says, "Oh, Susanna, you are Jacob's betrothed." Mm-hmm. And that's pretty shocking. Like, hey, my little brother, who I haven't seen in 20 odd years, is engaged to be married to Susanna. That's exactly right. Yep. Dell finds the horse. Remember the horse?
Yep.
And the horse had his back, everybody, as we have only upped the screen time of horse in this season of Way Home. It only felt right to bring back Horsehead. So finds the horse and decides to tie him up. "I'm not letting you go this time. You're my horse now, baby boy." Her words, not mine. Susanna and Kat are talking, and Susanna is like, "So what's your deal?" She's like, "Well, you just show up. I leave you out in the woods. You disappear. Now you show up. Now you're saying that you're my fiance's sister." And she's like, "You want to know who I am?" And then she falls back.
"How do you like me now?"
Into the pond.
Toby Keith plays in the background.
That's exactly right. So that tells you nothing. Tells you nothing about who she is, but is a pretty cool party trick for those of you playing at home. You want to know who I am?
I can hold my breath forever.
Kat runs, planning to tell Alice about what she just encountered, but instead tells Elliot, who she sees out there tending to his yard, that she found Jacob, and he is excited about this until he gets more information, and then it's like, "Hey, you gotta, bro, let's chill out a little bit." Then she tells Alice, and Alice is like, "I want to go next time you go." And Kat is like, nah, that's not happening here. The next day at the paper, a girl named Cassie shows up and says, "I want to be your intern at the Papes." And Alice is like, "All right." Kat is like, "All right, I guess you can do that." When Alice comes to the papers and meets this girl, she's like, "WTF, I could have worked here. I'm going to show you." So she does go and takes that job at the coffee shop, but she's very bad at it. She even spills coffee on a young Milo Villanova. Elliot
had all day to practice, and it didn't help at all.
Elliot is outside the lighthouse and staring at a memory of him and Kat when they were kids. He snaps out of it, and Kat is like, "Fancy meeting you here." Kat is like, so pretty wild that Jacob built this lighthouse. And he's like, yes, it's pretty crazy. They kind of hash things out and they decide to be friends. And for some reason, my notes didn't save on here. So like, this out here.
What's going on?
They didn't finish. They didn't. For some reason, they didn't save over here. Okay. Villanova. Yes. So Del rides that horse, and Alice, Kat shows up and is like, "WTF? What a day for you, huh? Found a horse, ride a horse." Good for you. Kat apparently has a sketch made of what Jacob would look like today, so they have that now. Looks a little bit like Milo Villanova. Hot man alert, he's back. His name is Sam. He shows up and he says, hey, I own the land next door now, and also that's my horse. So, hands off. Kat, Study is looking at the picture of Jacob's like age progression thing, and she's looking at a picture of him in this frame. The frame drops, shatters. While she goes down to pick it up, she looks underneath his desk and sees a stack of Polaroids, and all of the pictures are of the pond, different angles of the pond. Like, let's do pond here, pond there, pond everywhere. The episode ends when Alice confronts Elliot outside of his house. She is saying, hey, you said we made a pact. I have not made a pact with you to not talk about this. And so he's like, hey, I'm going to warn you. One, you got to stop with this pawn stuff, because here's the thing. If you jump back in, all of what you know of them from the past will soon change.
Oh, boy.
And that, my friends, was The Way Home, Season 2, Episode 3, When We Were Young.
We did
We did do it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to write this episode down here on Deck the Hallmark. It's weird. I guess the cloud didn't catch it.
I'm getting word. Cloud sometimes misses. Sometimes
Cloud didn't catch
misses. That in the chat that Upper Canada is Lake Ontario in this show, whereas if you look on a map, Lake Ontario nowhere near Upper Canada. But apparently in 1814, that's what they called Upper Canada, or the way that I'm to understand it. So there you have that. That's why you would deliver a ship there to the southernmost part of Upper Canada. Yes.
I don't know what Lisa's telling me to do better about, but I can't agree.
The new hire at the newspaper that Kat hires is non-binary. They are they. That's what they're telling you to do better.
Okay,
about.
great. Okay.
Yep.
I will do better. Let's get to the hot take. It is where we share exactly how we felt about this episode. We do not hold back. Ryan, what'd you think about this episode?
I thought it was a little lackluster, Brian. I'm not going to lie to you. Dan's so used to me not saying things that are great.
It caught me off guard. It caught me off guard. Bring it, Rye Guy. Let's go. Let's just hit me with what you're feeling. Let's do this thing. Let's go. Tell them what's happening.
There's a lot of new characters on this show. And like halfway through the episode, one of my notes was, one, I think it would have been a little more effective if we had heard about any of these relatives of the past in the Landry family, to make that meeting them would have been a little more impactful. But then also everyone that we're meeting in 1814 has all of these connections to Jacob. It really is like a lot to keep track of. And then you introduce another new character in the archives, which that may or may not wind up being, the archives are just hilariously great. But like that actually does intrigue me. But Dan, I think you talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. You don't want to overload season 2 with new, regardless of it's The Way Home or anything else. We want to build off what worked in season 1 and build from there. The first 2 episodes I thought did that. 3 episodes into a second season, I don't want to keep track of 6 new characters, especially when I've told you in season 1 that I like the characters that we had and I want to spend as much time as possible with them. This felt like a lot of setup that didn't actually have anything to pay off on, whether it be this week, hopefully in the future that happens. Not a great week to lead into a week off with. Like, I'm not left really clamoring for more. I thought the ending was good. Everything else was a very, very mixed
Tell
bag.
them what time it is.
I by and large agree with Riot Guy. I do think that this is, for my money, maybe the most disappointing episode. I still thought that it was fine. I do think that they did some interesting things. But like with last week, with them like setting up a bunch of things and being like, man, I'm really excited about the future. This episode didn't if this were a relay race, this maybe fumbled the stick a little bit there in the relay race of the way home.
One of the worst analogies I've ever heard.
I actually don't think it's that bad. If season two were a relay race,
was handing the baton or the stick, as you so eloquently called it, to episode 3. Episode 3 fumbled the stick.
A little bit
of a stick fumble.
Not full on the ground. It's just like, uh-oh. And, you kind of like slow down a little bit. Like you can't be.
It wasn't a great handoff.
It wasn't a great handoff. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And so there's some things that I'm concerned about. If you really like, listen, we've been talking about whether or not what's his name? Elliot. Yeah, I was about to say Elliot, then I felt like I was wrong. There's too many characters now. Elliot, is he a villain? Is he not? Like, knowing from last week, he talked about Susanna and his relation to this Susanna. If Susanna and Jacob are betrothed and they get married, does that mean that Jacob? So there's a lot of where this show tends to do this, where they're constantly weaving a web where the possible outcomes are ick. And so I do appreciate that. I also, it's concerning. I'm still all the way in on this show. I do think that there's still a lot of intrigue to be had, but I agree. I felt like this episode was a way more muddy than the previous episodes that we've loved so much. Dano?
If this episode is a relay race, right, then it is pulled a hamstring and in the trainer's tent. It's no longer competing or running. This thing was a disaster.
It's a great analogy, by the way.
The only thing that I will say is last year there was a time right around episode 4 or 5, and I was like, it's starting to feel like filler. And then episode 6 was the best of the season. I do want to give it the credit that the showrunners have gained some leeway to have an episode like this that doesn't really work and fills out the season, and we should be okay with that. I just haven't been as high on the other two. So then you come in hot with this episode, which it doesn't hold up. I don't like, you're trying to create a pretty expansive mythology here when we want you to concentrate on the 4 or 5 characters that were so indelible in the first season.
Right.
And instead, we're getting a bunch of nothing burgers. It is just not adding up to anything, and it's just like new old hot guy in town.
Don't hear what I'm not saying. Not upset about new hot guy.
Yeah. New person working in the archives. New person to meet in 1814. I always felt like last year, even when we weren't spending a lot of time in 1999 or necessarily with the main characters, everyone had some like movement, had some inertia, had some like something that was drawing them in a particular direction, and you had some concerns about that. And in this season, I couldn't tell you for heads or tails what Andy McDowell is supposed to be doing here right now. The Alice character is tertiary at best at this point. Elliot, it is every bit of patience and understanding and willingness to grant these showrunners the fact that they know what's going on and they've created a good TV show. All of it, my entire tank is emptied on the idea that something has happened in the 7 months that since we last left Elliot at the end of season 1, and now for him to be acting so incredibly strange and remembering all of these things,
having flashback, hearing conversations.
If nothing happened in those 7 months and all of a sudden he's just acting like this, that is not solid storytelling. I am trying my best to acknowledge that I don't know it, and they're saving a big twist for us for later, because if Elliot's just going to come back after 7 months acting all like villainy and having these flashbacks, he knew all this stuff before he left 7 months ago. So it just seems like withholding pertinent information for no reason at all. Really disappointing episode. Kind of bored at times. The horse stuff is downright boring. The horse stuff is boring. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, guys, it's not great. It's not great right now, and I hope it gets better.
It's time for all the feels. We're talking about what in this episode gave us feels. Ryan.
I had two. You already touched on it pretty specifically in the recap. I really did love Kat doing the, you want to know who I am, you asked for it. Like, it's just like something that I would do. Like, I had no way to like prove that I was cool, so I just jump in a pond and hope that the other person thinks that I'm cool. But my other one was, because like it doesn't really fit in the wait what's, is I like that Elijah Landry here goes to Kat right when he meets her. Quote, "You look like you've battled quite the storm, and the storm won." Like, what a burn by Elijah Landry.
No
like, that was me for all the feels, Brand.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily. I mean, I got like funny feels like when she's just so bad at working at this coffee shop milkshake place. Like, I've never seen anyone worse.
With 5 whole tables to deliver to, yeah.
Of just like pouring coffee, of just like holding things. She's just very bad at it, and I did find it that funny. But no, like, not even like, I've had a lot of like intrigue feels and whatnot. I didn't even really get any intrigue feels in this particular episode. So take that for what it's worth. Dano?
Yeah, no feels over here, Brand. It's a quick segment. Back to you.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we will get to the Wait What, the Sink and Swim, and Nearly Nude here on Deck the Hallmark. As far as down as those first 2 segments are, I am sad that we're getting a week off, especially as somebody who doesn't watch this on Sunday Nights Live anyway. I watched them on Monday with my buddy.
That's right. It's somebody that cares about the characters and enjoyed the first season immensely. Yeah. Like, I always want a show to get back on track, and I want another episode when there's a bad one.
Can't blame them for not doing Super Bowl Sunday, but
it's not Ride.
Still,
it's not Ride.
Lord, no. I mean, don't let the horse hat confuse you. It is not Ride, which is currently airing on the CW.
Correct.
If you didn't watch it, you can watch it now and listen to our episodes.
We're recapping it again.
Yes, we are. It's really good. It's through a back portal though. Don't worry about it. It's time for Wait What. It's where we talk about what in this episode made us go wait what. Ryan, anything stick out to you?
I got 3. This cafe, Brand, to your point from a minute ago, really does need more than one server than just like, what were they doing pre-Alice? Like,
well, I can't tell because there's not to Dan's point. There's not a lot of tables.
There's only 5 tables, Ryan.
So I don't know if she's just so bad that somehow it is getting so like backlogged, like that she can't, like, is that how bad she? Because they seem fine every other time anyone is ever in there.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. I mean, I don't understand why the runner of the shop isn't help. Well, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. It's not the central perk. We keep thinking all these scenes with Dell and the various possible love interests, whether it's this new guy or Roy from back in the day. We all loved Roy. We all think that these have like, yeah, we miss him. We think that these have like these overwhelming implications on the plot, like especially last year with Roy. But in reality, it's just all build up to whenever Nearly Nude is actually going to happen. Like, I don't think any of this actually matters. No. I don't care about the farm possibly being sold in the first place, but I'm like trying to find things with these love interests, and I don't think there's anything there. That's just me, though. I don't see it.
I'm with you.
And then Dan, last one. This one's actually directed at you because I feel like you actually could be the perfect person to answer this. In the year 1814, would there really have been all of these pamphlets with 1814 written in big, bold letters, numbers on them, informing us everything that has happened so far in the calendar year of 1814?
I don't think so, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
There's an almanac, a farmer's almanac that they keep showing.
There's an almanac.
There's an almanac.
Yeah, almanac. I mean, like,
the 1814 almanac.
Ben Franklin's almanac was the first one in the 1700s. I mean, you would have an almanac. I think you would have an almanac in 1814 for sure.
So, okay, so Brand, they've labeled it as the almanac.
Yes, it says it's right above the year, which is huge. It does say almanac. Almanac.
I just thought at the beginning of the year they handed out like a little brochure to everyone in the town. Okay,
it's a New Year's resolution pamphlet.
No, they're not printing out calendars for everyone in town. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are saying, asking if by Roy you mean Byron.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
We affectionately call Byron / Jacob, we call him Roy.
Yeah.
Not
100%.
to be any more confusing than we are. Yes.
100%.
I will tell you that I didn't know what his name was, but I knew that it wasn't Roy. But
a few things. One, we come back for a commercial break. Tight, close shot of a tire deflating in a way that I've never seen before. With as it's deflating, the voiceover going, "This day keeps getting better and better." Were they like watching it?
The tire with a gun?
Did they slash it? And as it's deflating, they go, "This day keeps getting better and better." It was just a weird.
Alice, go key the car. Why'd you key the truck?
This day keeps getting better and better. I'll say that one for last. Summer in Port Haven looks cold. That's just a fun fact that I've noticed. There's nothing in or around the lighthouse that says who's responsible for the lighthouse. Like if Jacob built this lighthouse, he wouldn't have like left a clue or something.
It's me, Jacob, my lighthouse.
I don't know. I feel like every historical thing I've ever been to is really proud of that history, and we're gonna put up things, and it's gonna tell the story. This lighthouse just has nothing. It was news to them. That's pretty shocking. She at the very end of this episode, Alice goes up to Elliot, knocks on the door. She does that thing where she backs off, and he walks out and he's like, "What? It's been a really long day." Doing what, man? Envisioning old things, looking at lighthouses? What are you doing aside from villain stuff in the secret of your house? Because other than that, you have no explanation for being it's been a long day for me. This man who was gone for 7 months and hasn't done squat all day. Last but not least, I want to throw out a hypothetical scenario for you. We all own dogs. We all love dogs. Yeah. Imagine your dog goes missing. Okay? Yeah. And everyone is going out looking for the dog. And finally, someone comes back. Dan runs up to me and he's like, "Dude, I found him." And I'm like, "Great. Where is he?" And then he proceeds to explain, "Okay, I didn't actually see him.
This is my big one.
I didn't actually see him, nor do I have him with me, nor do I have proof of life. But I have heard where he is." You are setting that person up for the biggest disappointment ever. Because when you say "I found him," you better have them or some sort of proof. For her to come back, see Elliot and go, "I found him." And Elliot then to hear, I didn't actually see him. You can't do that. You did not find him. You have a pretty good idea of where he is. You know that he's still alive. You did not find him. You can't say that.
It is one of the worst written and acted scenes of this series. It is they're crying. Bro, you don't know what year he's in. You literally don't know when or where Jacob is at all. None of it. "I found Elvis." What? Where? "Well, I heard he's supposed to marry a girl and he's uptown right now. So I've not seen him. He might be dead. I don't know.
Something about a Christmas special.
I
We're not
just
sure.
couldn't. I was so angry at this show for trying to give us some emotional payoff to a nonsense scene where she hears that Jacob was 24 when he left the farm and is supposed to marry this woman, but is not around. She has not seen him, has not confirmed he is there, has not confirmed when he is.
Because like if Elijah doesn't know that time travel exists, like maybe Jacob's like, hey, I gotta go deliver a boat, and he's just in the pond somewhere.
He could be anywhere in between 1814 and 1999, and no one knows.
Yeah, because Kat's never lied about where she's going when she's time traveling.
The idea that you would embrace and bawl
found
crying with each other when you have literally found nothing is terrible. It's terrible.
Season 1 also established that there's no guarantee the next time Kat goes in the pond that she's going to go the day after the last time.
Right.
In it. So like she could go to 1817 and then Jacob could be in Boise, Idaho, or wherever it could be.
We've established that the pond takes you where you need to go.
Correct.
And there's a chance where you need to go never lets you actually find him.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get, like, it is comforting knowing that he's, as far as we know, alive, or at least lived.
We don't know that.
He at least lived 20-ish years,
We know he got to
which
be
is
an adult.
good. For it is great when you assume for the better part of your life that your brother is dead, and then you find out that he lived 20-ish plus years. That's comforting.
And
Big W.
I do
Big
think
W,
the problem is how the scene is written and shot, because her finding these like carvings of like their initials, their little JK initials together, and her hearing the song, those could be played as big moments. And instead of her going back and going, I know where Jacob was living, he was alive this whole time, and having a really earnest moment of, my dad never gave up, he kept looking, and he was right to keep looking because my brother was alive. When Colton was looking, Jacob was alive. We have proof of that. That's a big moment. Why didn't you do that moment instead of, I found him? No, you did not. Not even a little bit did you find him.
Dan.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other thing, and I could be off on this. Maybe this is just me being too harsh, but it almost also feels like last week we had all of this Kat and Elliot tension that they wanted to make sure that the majority of the audience didn't get like too off put by that. So here's this big emotional moment, and they just figured out anything they could to make that emotional moment happen.
But I just gave you a great way to do it.
For sure. No, your way was much better. Absolutely.
Just go back and be like, I saw where he carved our name in these things. I heard stories of him growing up. Like, these are all game changers for you in thinking that your little brother never lived past 7 or 8 years old. And now you realize he got to be a teenager. He got to experience life in his 20s. Like, that's a big deal. That changes everything you thought you knew about him. It was inexcusable and unfortunate and just kind of like super duper cringeworthy. I couldn't even look at the screen. I was very just like, yeah. That was my big one. Two other small ones. One is, Kat in the archives room, when her new employee comes in, Kat knocks over 6 boxes of archives, and it makes no mess. It maybe one folder you kind of see out there. It's impressive how little mess these 6 boxes being overturned makes. It is almost like they're empty, and I don't want to say they're empty, but it's almost like they're empty. And then lastly, she finds a deck of cards thick full of Polaroids that have been scotch taped, masking taped, whatever, yellow taped under a desk, probably by Jacob. Those pictures look like a 7 or 8 year old would take a Polaroid in 1999, take these different shots of the same thing and tape them there in case anybody figures like he went missing. That seems to be where we're going. How has no one... they are in plain sight. How has no one in 25 years found these pictures? How They weren't hidden away under like a hollow 2x4 in the wood flooring of the house. They're literally, if you ever vacuumed the floor or got like ever were on the floor, you would see them.
I just feel like this is the point where she has to talk to her mom about this, right? Because like, if this is like, let's say like this desk was mainly used by like Colton or something.
Yeah.
So, like, hey, I found these like you don't even have to really get into it.
Correct.
But hey, I found these pictures of the pond underneath this desk that's been.
Yeah.
What are these? What are these about? Like you have to like. We are getting very close to where if Dell isn't brought into this at some point, we're running out of time. It's becoming she has to be brought into it at some point, right?
Yeah.
And clearly Dell we know like Dell has to know something.
Yes.
Right?
Of course.
Yeah, but Brand, that's also the other thing. I think we're kind of running on fumes with let's just see Jacob and get to the next part of that story. Let's get Dell, and nobody likes this farm angle. Like let's get Dell invested into the main story.
Also, at this point are just too many threads to pay it off. Like you've got to start, cutting some of these You've got to start hemming it down a little bit. It's just too much. Like this was my complaint from last week, which was a riveting episode of television, but you're like, it feels very bloated. It feels very sequelitis-y. It feels like you've tried to just go, oh, you like that season 1 thing. Let's go bigger and more. And let's pare it back down a little bit because you can't pay these storylines off. There's no world.
I didn't even think about it being, I assumed that it was like Colton or something that taped the pictures.
The reason I thought it might be
But that
Jacob
does make sense.
is because the pictures are all just
they're like the same thing, which is what our kids would do if they had a Polaroid.
They would just
camera.
take the same picture over and over again. That's
and it'd
why
be
I
like,
thought it was
yo,
Jacob.
do you know how much film costs? And they'd be like, I don't care. I got to get this. I'm just going to take all the pictures. I'm too excited. But I almost thought of it as like Colton was like, had idea or something. It took pictures and like he's doing this secret investigation. He's known to be secretive.
Unless somehow those pictures just showed up in the last 3 weeks. Unless Elliot put them there when he came back. It doesn't make any sense.
For what purpose?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find a reason why. Those pictures are in plain sight. They're in plain sight. They're not even behind the desk. Anyone could see them. The dog could get to them for crying out loud.
Now the dog's missing.
Dude, maybe the dog put him up there with his paws. Got the tape out.
Listen,
he's got a keen photographic eye. Those pictures are better than most pictures of Hallmark photographers.
Let's get to sink or swim. Sink or swim. It's where we talk about the things that we're sinking and we're swimming and try to make sense of it all. Ryan, what are you sinking? What are you swimming?
My heart's sinking for Elliot. Now listen, I'm very hard on Elliot on this program. I think he's nefarious. I think he's a villain. But if he actually winds up being a villain, it may be somewhat justifiable at this point because Kat is on overdrive with this friend zoning. I nearly hurled when she said, I'll do anything to make this work, right directly into this man's eyes. And then shook his hand. It's among the worst things I've ever seen on television anyone do. And so maybe Kat's the real villain here. Who knows?
Sheesh.
Yeah. I have a couple of things really quickly. One, I'm sinking. I'm sorry, I'm swimming. I'm going to swim both of these things.
On my face.
One, when I first saw, I love it and I want to, but I can't. I don't have time.
Blood.
Slowly I become the one with the mud. But if I can't swim after 40 days, we can't do this. We don't have time.
Get flagged anyway. That was dead on.
Dead on. The picture of, hey, here, the rendering of what Jacob could look like now, what would 25-year-old Jacob look like? Gotta be honest, looks a bit like the kid that was Milo Ventulanova in the diner. I'm just saying there was something there. A weird thing to introduce a character and then for that rendering to look a smidge like that person. I don't know what to do with it.
Don't know what to do with it.
I don't know what to do with it. But I couldn't have been the only one that thought that. Dan, did you think they looked even a little bit similar?
I thought that the drawing had blue eyes and he had darker eyes, and so I didn't even.
I didn't know you were such an eye boy.
Just, I mean,
Really?
it was pretty obvious in the picture.
I noticed the blue. I didn't notice the humans.
I thought he did. I could be wrong. If you go
Ryan,
back,
did you catch that at all? I've lost you altogether at this
we don't
point.
have
I don't
any
know
audio
where
from
you
you.
are audio wise.
Check. I'll be honest. I didn't. No.
There we go. Yeah. I didn't clock that at all.
And then new
It's a great sink or swim. Go ahead.
Thank you. New archive intern. There's something happening there.
Yeah.
They know something, and I'm just going to throw out a prediction here. This is the first, you know what? Maybe Roy, as we call him, was also this, but somebody who has time traveled from the future back to 2023. It's their past. There's something about that just felt like this is a time traveler.
But
this is a time traveler.
I don't disagree, and that would be within the rules.
Yes, because it's going back, and that's why I said that. That's why I said that.
Yeah, 2052.
Right.
The year 3000. Whatever. Under they could be their great granddaughter.
Yeah, there's something there.
Yes.
There's something there that screams time traveler.
I love that theory.
To just like walk straight in and be like, I was the newspaper person at my high school, and I know this, that, and I can be archived.
Agree 100%.
Something that screams time travel.
Go ahead.
I just want to make it clear. Not all of this new stuff or characters that they've introduced we think is negative. We just think there's way too much and we need to pare down.
Yeah.
Yes. Because Brand, that would be awesome.
It seems like smoke and mirrors. It seems like just stuff to get us to care about anything other than the thing we were caring about all last season.
And I think what happened was when Alice walks in and sees this new person, it was almost like they knew each other almost. Like there's something familial about it.
If there's nothing there, it's a great job by both actors and the whole crew there. Because
something going on there.
They did a great job
going on there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sinking this week because I just can't get over the fact that Kat, who literally kills her father by going back in time, and learns the valuable lesson that she cannot change the past, and learns the valuable lesson that she can't bring anyone back into the future, is now hell-bent not on finding Jacob to get to hang out with him. Like, your brother's now 25, 26. He's got a life. He's doing amazing. Not to spend time with him and to hear about all the things you missed and to talk about, maybe bring Andy McDowell back into the pond with you and let her see her son all grown up. Not for those wonderful, heart-wrenching scenes. She still thinks she's going to bring this guy back to 2024 with her.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that a plot point in the show? Like, there are some great emotional moments ahead if you'll just play it with some integrity.
I mean, my only saving grace here is that, like, one, grief, and especially when it's like someone you're related to, you can convince yourself of something that is clearly not possible. And so even though she probably knows that it is not possible for Jacob to come back, you still, because it's your brother and she found him, it's like, hey, maybe I can. Like, I can bring him back. Like, so I don't think it's totally unbelievable of somebody to convince himself of something like this, even though it's clear
they
through
did
all
it last season.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yes.
It would be like a paleontologist coming home from a long day at work and be like, I found a T-Rex. You found like bone. No, I found a full T-Rex. Where are they? Well, I mean, I think about 3 million years ago.
Yeah.
I don't.
Maybe even.
It's time for Nearly Nude. It's part of the show where Brian comes in and lets us know if there was anything nearly nude in this week's episode. Brian, take it away.
What's up, Brian? Aaron, Brand.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, in the relay race of life, the baton to nearly nude is outstretched yet out of reach.
Out of reach.
Still.
So no.
No.
Sometimes that stick gets fumbled as well, correct? Yes.
Steak has been fumbled. Well, that means we have to wait at least 2 more weeks for Nearly Nude. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks. Ryan, you got anything for the people before we go?
Dan and I will, in some way, shape, or form, be giving you our best Super Bowl props sometime this
Props
week.
like wigs and stuff?
Like shout
like
outs.
Carrot Top. Like Carrot Top.
Very similar to Carrot Top.
I've got
that's right.
props.
That's right. Toaster oven.
It might just be an email, but we're going to get it to you one way or
Toaster
another.
oven alarm clock. Your alarm goes off. It makes the toast right there by your bed.
Pretty good prop.
That's a great prop.
It's a great prop. We're back tomorrow with
interview.
Gerald Green's Diary. What's the name of the movie? Gilded.
Yeah, that
Gilded
one.
Age.
We don't.
What is it?
Skip it.
Gilded Newport Mystery.
Gilded Newport Mystery.
Murder at the Breakers.
Murder is
Just
Breakers.
skip it. Skip
tomorrow.
the podcast episode. Skip
Until
all
then,
of it.
maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. What? For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.